What's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Today, Friday afternoon, I had a really busy morning, so I wasn't able to do my 6:30 a.m. live. So I'm going to go a little bit longer today. As you guys are tapping in, let me know what's up. Let me know how you're doing. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot more fights that opened up on my book down here in Sydney. If you guys didn't catch my live yesterday, I did a live stream with Paulie Malignaggi and Tommy Rainone. That's up on the channel. Great value there. Hopefully you like that one. Had a lot of fun doing that with the boys. If you're not following Paulie and Tommy, they have a show, Big Fight Breakdown. Go check them out. They launched it a couple months ago. Obviously, with Paulie, everybody knows who Malignaggi is. Tommy was a professional as well. Very good pro as well. So that's a lot of fun. Those guys really know what they're talking about. There's a couple fights this weekend where, they could go either way. It's really going to come down to the strategy of our bets. I talked about that all week. Really understanding, what to throw on a parlay, what not to throw on a parlay, understanding what a 50-50 fight is, when to go heavy, when not to go heavy. All of these sort of things is elements and part of the game regarding wanting to win on a consistent basis. Consistency is the one thing that I care about most in terms of getting it right. Obviously, you want to be consistent, and I think that's what we do really well here on the channel and our Discord. Speaking of which, guys, that link that's pinned in the comment right here, it's also pinned in the comment section. Join our Discord. Johnny says boxing VIP, 3 different levels. The first level, second, and third all get you into the Discord. It's a couple bucks a month. Click that link. The chat's tapping in. What's up to the boys? As you guys are tapping in, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you like this video. Comment. Let me know any questions. We got fights starting in less than 24 hours with the Harlem Eubank fight card. There's fights in Spain. John Furr's fighting John Fernandez. There's fights, the Pro Box card, Veron and Roman Villa. And then we know the big fight card in Riyadh. So there's a lot to talk about. I'll leave the stage open to anybody who has questions. By now, you guys know my picks. I gave you guys my long parlay. My long parlay is up in the Discord. So everybody in the chat who has stars, no matter what color star you have, you're in the Discord, and check out those picks. As you guys are tapping in, Enthusiastic Boxing Ty, Brian, 8th round, getting specific here. I ain't mad at you. Brian, 8th round. What's that paying? What's up, Johnny Wagner? He is a big dude. Wagner is Eubank's opponent. Let's pull up those odds real quick. So I do have action on this. When you guys tape Wagner, you'll recognize the name. He lost to David Popo, and on paper, that loss, I think that knockout loss looks a lot worse than it is, because you look at David Popo and he doesn't have a lot of knockouts. But if you were to watch Popo fight Liam Perro, man, he's legit, dude. I definitely underrated David Popo going into the Perro fight from the tape I saw. And then the version I saw him against Perro, he was way tougher, trickier, big dude. And, Liam struggled with that size. And so Wagner got stopped by him. And so I heard a couple of the boys earlier talking about a prop. Like, for me, the 124 is juicy enough on the money line. So I do have a 4-leg working. I have Harlem on that 4-leg on the money line. I took Veron. So it's like my non-Riyadh season parlay. I think I have Harlem Eubank on there, John Fernandez, Veron to beat Roman Villa, and then I think I'm taking Suboy to beat Quadras. I was flirting with the idea of maybe Carlos Quadras was maybe he's live. Watch the tape. And then I got some insider info on Suboy in the Discord. Shout out to my guy in my Discord, one of my sources. He's a sharp. He sends me insider info all the time on obscure fights. And this morning I woke up to the info on Suboy. So he was just like, hey, mate, he's going real heavy on Suboy. So I put a little bit something on it. I'll tell him I ain't got it. I'll put a little bit on it, put something on it. So love. What's up, Jonathan? No one's called me Jonathan. Is this my mom? Not with the name Love Snatch. Who is this? No one calls me Jonathan. You kind of caught me off guard with that one. Yo, Johnny, I think Dev seemed a little nervous. Let's play it. To me, he looked nervous, man. He looked nervous. We're going to play that. And, bro, hold up. I got to address this. Talk about the casuals coming out of the woodwork. After this live stream, if you guys are bored, maybe we should do this together. If you guys are bored, go to my Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. Stats Don't Lie breakdown and read the comments. Holy shit. The comments, dude, they were calling me. I got called every white racist name in the book. I got called a cokehead. I got called. The Devin Glazers are insane. I had no idea. And if you guys want to laugh, trust me, it's freaking hilarious to see on a video that I did breaking down boxing and picking a winner. Somebody has to lose. Read these comments. It's insane. But I'm going to go to the Instagram. I'm going to go to, let's pull out the old Instagram. I'm like your grandpa. I don't know how this old Instagram works. I'm about to pull out the old Instagram. Share this tab instead. All right. What's up, player? I see you pimping. I see you out here pimping. All right, here we go. I put it on my story. I do want to say, you know what? I talked about the haters. This is a really cool comment. Thank you for this. Young Money, man. If you're watching this live, I appreciate you. Young Money goes, sick to see you getting the Magic Man on the channel. Keep up the good work, Johnny. Let's keep. Thank you, brother. It was a good time. Malinaji, I had a lot of fun with Paulie and Tommy. Okay. I'll let you guys. What do you guys think of this? I mean, win, lose, or draw. Brian Norman Jr. is a throwback, dog. Win, lose, or draw. Brian Norman Jr. is a throwback. A throwback. I've been saying this since the. I've been high on Norman Jr. though since the Santian fight. Look at this. This is some OG 1960 shit. This is some OG 1960 shit, dude. Brian Norman Jr. is a throwback. And his pops is what I just watched. So I'm watching the ring on Top Rank's YouTube right now. They have the Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. press conference. Watching the back and forth between Bill and Senior is absolutely golden. Those two should have their own show. I wish Brian Norman Sr. and Bill would be neighbors. I wish there was a reality show where like the fighting sons and the fathers had to be neighbors for fight camp. That shit would be because the stuff that Bill Haney was sounding really educated, and he actually gave a pretty inspiring speech. Like I'm listening to Bill talk, and he was thanking everybody. He spoke really eloquently, and I was like, I forgot how much I like Bill. Like I like Bill. I'm a Bill guy. You know what I'm saying? So, but Brian Norman Sr., he was trying to, like Bill made. Watch it. All I'm gonna say is watch the stuff back and forth between Senior and Bill. It was priceless. Senior looked at Bill and was like, it reminded me of one of the barbershop scenes out of Coming to America. How Bill Haney and Brian Senior were talking. It reminded me. He's like, you ain't never meet no Joe Luke. He's like, Joe Luke walking here. I said, how old? How old Joe Luke? He said, you know what? Between you and me, Joe Luke's 137 years old. You ain't never meet no Martin Luther the King. Is this nervous energy? Is this nervous energy? I don't mind it on Dev's part. I just think the personalities are different. You know what I mean? Okay. See, I got it. What's up, Drew? Were they doing it? Okay, because I love Bill Haney, man. Bill Haney to me, he is so good for boxing, and I hope he has like I hope he stays in boxing after Dev retires. You know what I'm saying? Like Bill Haney, I got time for Bill, man. People try to hate on me. Bill's an OG, man. This dude goes back to like the '90s, West Coast hip hop. I got time for him, man. And look, dude, look at Brian Norman Jr. here, though, man. This cat out here ain't Brian Norman Jr. This reminds me. All right, guys, this is some real. This is real rap. So in the sixth grade, Youngstown, Ohio. This would have been 19. I was 11 in the sixth grade. So this would have been like 1993. 1993, before social media, I went to a school called St. Anthony's in Briar Hill, Youngstown. It was I was one of three white dudes. It was me, Nick Bellino, and Eric Fetty, and then like nine other. My whole class was only 11 people. Me, Nick Bellino, Eric Fetty, Kevin Poindexter, Jamal Harris, Christian Klinkskel, George Washington, David Johns, Brandon Fleshman, and Jamal Harris, if I already said his name. And me and the pencil sharpener, though, in 1993, this is what people sleep on this. I'm an old head. I'll be 44 in April. In 1993, the pencil sharpener was Instagram. So in 1993, we didn't have it. Our Instagram, our social media, how we would was the pencil sharpener. So if you had beef with somebody and the teacher would walk out, you would walk up to the pencil sharpener all slow and you would call your whoever you wanted to call out. Or if you were like, it was dress down day, like we had to wear a uniform. And thank God we had a uniform because we were all poor. I had like two white shirts for the whole year. I had two white shirts and like one pair of black pants. And so we thank God because if we had to wear new clothes every day, I'd have got lit up, boy. Lit the fuck up. But if you it was like dress down day, you wanted everybody to see you, you would walk up to that pencil sharpener. So that was our social media. Y'all know nothing about the pencil sharpener, boy. But how Brian Norman Jr. standing here in the sixth, this is like one of my boys, David Johns, rest in peace. DJ was a dog at all sports, and he could scrap. And right before he get into his fights, DJ's posture would be like this, and Devin would be at. Usually, everybody who would try to fight Dave, they'd be acting like Devin, and Dave would just stand there. That's what this reminds me of. This is I love to see. I love both of it. Like I love to see both sides. I don't know how much you want to look into it. You know what I mean? But Dev looks massive. I've been telling you guys, I mean, you guys know this, boxing heads know this. Brian's not a big welterweight. So it's never been like I think there's certain guys, though, who are built perfectly for a division. And I think Norman, he might actually be an in-betweener. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how big he is in which, like, how much weight he cuts to make 47. But, I couldn't see him at 40, and it would be hard for me to see him at 54. I think he's kind of built perfectly for 47. Some guys just, are built a certain way. Some guys can move up. Uh, yeah, this is off the hook. So where are we at? What if Devin believes Norman is going to be easy and he's clowning him with what he's about to do to him? It could be. We're gonna know. For me personally, because I already broke the fight down. I've done 5 live streams. I've done 10 live streams. You guys know who I'm taking. I'm tired of arguing with people in comments, so I don't argue with people. I already know. I just say when people are trying to argue with me online, I go Norman money line. See, this is wild. So he's on. That's insane, and it makes sense, man, because that means he's not cutting any weight to make 47. That means that Brian is eating what he wants to eat during fight week. He's rehydrated, like he operates. That means he's sparring, he's training, he lives life every day at his fighting weight. That is a bonus. Not many men could say that. And if you've ever cut weight in anything, whether it's combat sports, whatever. I mean, I have friends who do like bodybuilding competitions and they cut weight, and I have a friend who races horses and he has to cut weight. So like jockeys, people wouldn't think that you'd have to cut weight to be a jockey, but you do. And so if you cut weight in anything, it's freaking miserable. So everybody would agree, whatever you're cutting weight for, it would be a joy to be able to perform in whatever your sport is at your walking weight. Your mood is better. Look at Brian. So it's interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about this real quick. I actually put it up on my story right after this. You know why I'm salty about this, though? You know why I'm salty about this is that during this fight week, Puello versus Matias, the only fight I lost was AP. I took AP. I like Puello. Puello's long southpaw style is a lot to deal with. You know, he was in some close fights. The GAR fight was close. GAR jumped out to a big lead, and then Puello worked himself back into it. And then the Sandor Martin fight, was close. But this is how Alberto Puello fights. He's tricky. He's a long southpaw. I think he punches a little bit harder than people think. And he's rangy. He sometimes could get predictable with his entrances and his exits. He uses the entire ring. I got to be honest with you. When I broke this fight down, I took Puello to beat Matias, and I scored it. I had Puello up 2. If anything, a draw. I gave Puello 2 out of the last 3 rounds. And then fast forward to now, and we hear that Matias popped for Ryan Garcia's supplement, Ostarine. So we'll see. And then the update to this story. Oh, that's us. That's us. We are here. We here. All right. And so this is the breaking news piggybacking off of the test. And so Matias had an adverse finding in test sample A. They are giving him X amount of time to put forth a sample B test. And now if that B test, if the B test is positive, or if he doesn't submit a B test, allegedly he's going to be stripped. That belt will be vacant, and Dalton Smith will fight Alberto Puello for the vacant, coveted, green WBC 140-pound belt. So I think we're all up to date on that one. Yeah, Ergashev, right? Yeah, it was tough. It's a tough day in boxing. That shit really bummed me out, that fight, because that's when you had I hate when I forget names, man. His corner was begging him. He was God damn it. You got the chat will tell me. His coach was like, son. It was like the 9th round. He was like begging him to stop. And he wouldn't quit on himself. Dadashev? It was either Dadashev or Ergashev. I think it was Dadashev. And then he passed away. God damn, that sucks. Boxing's a brutal sport, boys. That's why when I break fights down, I try to do my best not being disrespectful to either guy. And this is what people who are being really guys, I don't know if you could tell, this is who I am in real life. If you guys met me, I'm not a mean-spirited dude. I talk about it all the time. It's in my nature to just be a clown. Like I take life serious, but I also play. My favorite quote of all time is life is play. So I'm not a mean-spirited guy. So in the comment section, when I'm getting called all these names, I really don't care. I laugh it off. But it's why I don't play that game. Like, just because I pick Devin to lose doesn't mean I'm actually a fan of Haney. Like, I follow him on Instagram. I'll comment on his posts and be like, yo, Dev, have fun in there. I think where the fight is going, though, I just see the path to victory for Norman, and I'm tired of giving the takes. You could see my takes all week, and one of us are going to be right, one of us is going to be wrong, and yeah, Dadashev, that just bums me out, just how it went down, because that was an elevated fight, wasn't that ESPN Fight Night? We all watched it, and Dadashev came from that good camp, good corner. Buddy McGirt, was it Buddy McGirt? I think it was Buddy McGirt in his corner. I don't even want to pull it up because it bums me out. But the Haney Norman fight, yeah, I love it too, V. I love it too. I love these fights like this. The last time, you know what this feels like to me in recent? I mean, obviously, this almost reminds me of EJ versus Bud. EJ versus Bud was wild. Like, for me, Canelo versus Bud didn't have the same thing to it. Like, this feels way more intense than Canelo versus Bud. And I don't know if that's because a major, Canelo's major fan base, English isn't their first language. You know what I mean? I think that probably had something to do with it. But Bud versus EJ was intense on a whole different level. This one feels like that to me, at least with what I do. Why YouTube go back to users' names? I have no idea. I have no idea who any of you guys are now. I could only tell who you guys are is because the Johnny Says VIPs have the stars next to their name. And I know you boys are on my, we're all on the same team. Guys, get into the Discord. The link is pinned in the comment section. Sam Martin. I'm also taking over, but I don't have to. It's kind of like when I get caught into, and Sam, I agree with you, and that's probably calling me out, which is fine. We're all human. And I think the difference is if somebody is going to stand on a hill and never make adjustments or adhere to the fact that maybe they got fired up. Like for me, for how happy-go-lucky I am, I'm very competitive. So if you put me in a debate situation and I'm debating somebody, I can sometimes get out of pocket, and I'll be the first to admit. I try real hard. Dude, I put a lot of work and energy into being as professional as possible. When we're talking resumes, though, I wouldn't say because I'm dissecting a guy's resume, I'm discrediting the career. And if I did say it in that moment, I'm speaking out of pocket. Because in the same vein, I'm the first one to say that Devin's at 26, he just turned 27, Hall of Famer already. What he's done in the sport from his early 20s on at only 27 years old is no one else has done that. So I'm not discrediting all that. But if I'm debating and we're trying to go fact for fact in a specific fight, and somebody is going to, we're playing chess and they put their piece here and they're talking about, oh, he's never fought this one. We're playing chess. All's fair in love and war. Just because I say something or have a specific stance during a debate, you can't use that as a unilateral sort of umbrella to put me under, and that's how I view the fighter. I think it's wise for the chat, and we do have an educated chat, to be able to compartmentalize that sort of stuff. Johnny, what's up? I was talking to Chilltown. Leargal in the house. I don't know who anyone is now since the names are messed up, but I know Leargal. I know Chilltown, my guy. Veron. Is Chilltown Spanish? Because Chilltown's accent is dope. Like I've always been an accent guy, and like when I was a young boy, this is gonna sound crazy, I always wanted to live in a place where I was the one that was weird with the weird voice. I'm like 7 years old, and I remember writing to my mom. My mom would make me do these little. I would write every day. It was like a task at home. And hey, mom, I'm a published author now. Thank you, which is kind of crazy, but I remember writing this one little thing when I was 7. I was writing about wanting to have an accent. She's like, Johnny, you do have an accent. You have your accent. I was like, yeah, but I want to have an accent where everyone in the room sounds different than me. So moving forward, when I hear people speak, I pick up on like people's draws, how they speak. Like for instance, how Norman Jr. speaks. Like the differences in our voices for me, I feel is probably the coolest thing about meeting new people. And so when Chilltown speaks and he says pronunciations of names, I think to myself, man, I wish I could say it like that. You know what I mean? So let me finish your comment though. Veron and Via, and we both like Veron. Yeah, to win. I'm not going to get too sexy with the outcome, but I think it's Veron's time. And Roman Villa, he's done a lot in the sport. I'm not going to sit here and call a guy, say that he's done. But in terms of odds on this fight, they're pretty good if you want to sauce up a parlay. Oh, where are you, Pro Box Card? Look at that. The odds are saucy. So I do have Francisco Daniel Veron on a parlay. I like I said, I did I guess you could call it a universal parlay. I took John Fernandez fighting in Spain. I took Harlem Eubank. I think that's in the UK. I'm taking Francisco Veron on the Pro Box Card, and I'm taking Suboy. That's Suboy. He's fighting Carlos Cuadras on a separate parlay. But method of victory. Are you guys getting odds for method of victory? Yeah, I'm not. Um, and look, TJ's a sharp. Chilltown is a beast, dude. If TJ's saying take something by stoppage, listen to him. He's generally spot on. Nobody's 100% right. But when TJ messages me, it's kind of like Christmas. I'll see a little inbox from TJ. I was like, oh shit, I got a little gift. The Haney Norman fight odds. Haney was already running at the face off. Kingdom. Remember what Paulie was saying? Let's be mindful. Yeah. Paulie was out here. Paulie was out here giving free game out. And, you know, I did my best. So I got to be honest with you, boys. So I've been interviewing fighters for over a decade. In 2015, I was in like, you know, I've interviewed George Foreman, rest in peace. I've interviewed Larry Holmes. I've interviewed Evander Holyfield. In my first book, Evander Holyfield's in my first book. He's a whole chapter in my first book. So it's not new to me, you know. I've also, you know, I used to have a podcast where I'd be interviewing like multi-millionaire entrepreneurs and best-selling authors, like overachievers. Malcolm Gladwell had a book called Outliers. So I had a podcast called Ungoogleable, and I would interview guys like, you know, Evander Holyfield, and I would ask the guest things that you couldn't Google. So if I'm sitting with Holyfield, I'm not asking him stuff about boxing. And so that was my whole podcast premise. Asking questions that you can't search for, ungoogleable, the success secrets of modern day giants. And so Paulie's a guy, you know, I watched his whole career. He's my age. I always talk about that Cotto fight. So when I linked up with, you know, behind the scenes with Paulie and Tommy, it was just an easy blend. But he was dropped like this point right here, saying be mind when we're betting on fights, when we're breaking down fights. Somebody in the comment section on one of the probably the Norman Haney breakdown, they're like, bro, I hate when Cass be talking about that uh you know, he ain't fight a lot this year. Like, why do y'all be acting like it matters how active a fighter is? I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? I was like, activity does matter. Like, it's an element on the cog of the wheel when we're picking who's gonna win. How active they've been, what their resume looks like, how many times they fought at this weight class, how much weight are they cutting, what did they look like in their last fight? Did they change camps? Who's their coach? How do they fare against southpaws? Have they fought a slugger before? Have they fought a counterboxer before? Have they ever been dropped? Like all of this stuff, right? How many pro rounds do they have? How's their jab? How's their backhand? Do they like fighting in the pocket? Do they use the whole ring? All these things. And the being mindful of the politics of the matchup often gets overlooked. And Paulie was talking about that. And it was great advice. And so I did a thumbnail earlier in the week, and the thumbnail said, Team Haney didn't want this fight, right? I was literally quoting an article that's on an article about Turki Al-Sheikh's $36 million deal with Devin Haney. The article, which is public domain, you could do a little bit of research and find that exact Team Haney didn't want this fight, is from an article, right? And it was referring to the fact that it wasn't like Haney picked Norman. And obviously I knew putting the name, it would cause the casuals to go in an uproar. It would cause the lifers, the Devin Haney lifers or the Devin Haney truthers. I'm a Devin Haney fan, but I'm not a truther of anybody. Anybody could lose. And so Turkey offered Dev 36 mil, and he just said, this is your fight path. And Brian Norman Jr. will be your first fight. That's all I said. People were acting, they got real emotional over it. Are you confident in Eubank? Hell nah. No, I'm never confident. Are you crazy? Am I confident in Eubank? Hell to the nah. But am I picking him? Yes. I'm not picking Josh Wagner. Confidence is a big, there's the word confidence there's a lot of weight. I'm not confident in any of my picks to be any fight week. Like if I could keep that mindset, I know that I'm never going to become a casual. If I could keep that mindset of breaking down, I'm not confident in this, but this is how I see it going. This is kind of my mindset with anything could happen in a fight. These dudes are literally, we talked about a rest in peace to Maxim Dadashev. You could pass away. You could be criminally injured. Shout out to Pritchard Cologne. Um, you could have your life changed for the good. You could have your life changed for the worse. So anything could happen. There could be a draw. There could be a ref. The ref has some, skin in the game. The judges are suspect. The promoter, etc. So being confident, I think, would on my end for what I do would be arrogant to say. So I'm never confident in it. But am I taking Harlem? Yeah, I got Harlem. I just found out Steven Navarro was fighting tomorrow. No way. Well, there's a couple. It's Mike Ross. It's kind of cool when that happens, though. It happened a couple weeks ago. There were so many fights a couple weeks ago, similar to this week. I'm going through the fight calendar. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot who it was. I was like, this dude's fighting. This is my guy. I like when that happens. Norman, it's a 50-50 fight. I'll show you. Nope. Right down. It's still a coin flip, boys. It's still a coin flip. Where's your money at? The article you spoke of regarding Turkey and Haney, you failed to mention, was Brian Norman said that not Turkey. There's zero validity saying Haney didn't want to do it. Okay, so I'm not gonna. Okay, so if that's true, what is your point? What is your point? Are you defending Devin Haney's honor, or are you protecting a narrative in boxing to gatekeep rhetoric? What is your point here? Because I'm just reading articles about a fight that we're talking about, and if I was Team Haney, we'll see after the fight. Sam Martin. My point is that you're wrong. What you mean? If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. All right? Tell Devin I said hi, mate. Jeez. Okay, so Money Pal is fighting. This is a fight that, shout out to Ohio Runs Boxing. My dude, Marcus Nall. He told me, if you guys tapped into the live chat yesterday, you know what? I can play this for you. He won't care. So I actually have some info on this fight. And he sent it to me this was like a month ago. Did it disappear?
Hey, Johnny, when you look at Money Power, I think those going to be the two best fights on that card on the 21st of November. But when you go look at the fights, the fights that I actually thought was going to be their toughest fights, Dante got a draw in it against what's his name? William. I think William. He's another Darnell Boone. I call those guys Darnell Boone Juniors, bro. Those are guys who got multiple losses on their record, but they are still good fighters. They can beat some of the top guys in the top 15 on any given night. He's one of them, and Money Powell faced another one, a Darnell Boone Jr., and his name is Vaughn Alexander. He actually beat Money Powell, and that was a close fight, but he actually beat him. Vaughn is another one where he gets robbed in people's backyard, but he be putting guys down. He's another Darnell Boone Jr. man. So you got a lot of those type of guys who a lot of people don't know about. They are good fighters, but they have multiple losses, almost like Emmanuel Augustus. Emmanuel had a lot of losses, but Floyd Mayweather said that was still one of his toughest fights, and some of his fights were robberies. You know what I'm saying? So those are diamonds in the rough type of fighters, journeymen that you got to pay attention to. But those two guys face those type of guys. That's why I think this fight is going to be dynamite, man. It's going to be fireworks from both of these guys because it's going to be similar fights to what they already experienced. They've been through some fire. They've been through some tough fights. So I think that's why I think it's going to be a draw. It's going to be hard to pick out of those two guys for me, but I'm putting my money down for a draw, to be honest. And I like respect both guys, man. So yeah, but yeah, check that out when you get a chance.
Wow, he said he's picking a draw on that. But anyway, it could be, it's a fight for you guys to look into. I mentioned it yesterday on my first live chat. Money Pal versus Dante. I think, one has a few losses. We brought their resumes up. Do your tape on this fight. And one more point from my man Sam Martin here, because this is interesting. So he says, this is back to him gatekeeping Devin Haney. You claim the quotes came from Turkey. They didn't. Okay, so you're then saying, why do we live in the world where Brian Norman Sr. is lying then? So what you're doing, you're accusing me of, because I'm just taking Brian Norman Sr. at his word. And you're saying a grown man is lying, wanting me to believe you. What are you talking about, dude? That's your stance? It's weird, man. These dudes gatekeeping Devin and then trying to so it's 100% accurate that Senior's lying, and that's your stance. And you're calling me out for an article that's posted, and I'm literally just quoting the article. Where's your evidence? You need counter evidence that Brian's lying. How come Devin didn't say this? He didn't push back on that. That's the first thing that would have happened. You know these guys. That's the first thing that would have happened if it didn't go down that way. Did you guys? Let me show you something. I'm about to give you guys free game. And Sam, I know you. You came at me trying to call me. You came at me on some political justice stuff too, some social justice like 6 months ago. I remember. Just letting you know, I know who you are. Like you could leave all that at the door. You always try to take it to a weird sort of like level where obviously my channel, I don't. That's not where I'm operating at, mate. If you want to operate there, peace to the God. All right, guys. I mean, Dev looks in great shape. See, as a strength and conditioning coach myself, dude, Dev is always in great shape. My man, nothing, what's the saying? All stones, no stones went unturned. That's true professional too. Say what you will about Dev. This is an outcome of a true professional. All right. All right. So I need some so this is a comment on Paulie Malignaggi on the live stream I did with Paulie and Tommy. Muscles put you on with these two. We miss Muscles. What's Muscles' real name? Carlos. What's this screen name? Loso2438. So essentially, Muscles, who's Carlos, is talking about himself behind the. Is this behind the third wall? This is straight up sociopathic, borderline psychopathic, borderline multiple personality disorder behavior. Because we know that this is Muscles talking about Muscles, referring to interpersonal relationships about me. Muscles put you on with these two. We miss Muscles. In other words, Carlos, Muscles, you can come on my channel whenever you want. I take this as you speaking as I don't know how to take this. It's a bit odd. You could just text me. You have my number. We know this is you though, bro. You didn't even change your name that good. Loso. You didn't even change. Do you think we're not that smart? What are we talking about? All right, PJ, for once, PJ is the voice of reason. Who would have thought that? PJ's my guy, keeping everything fun and one of my one of the most what's a great adjective, a positive adjective for PJ? Something that I mean that he's usually like the dude who's trying to get us all laughing, which is great. But the voice of reason. We will run through the Friday card, big dog. What specific fights, homie? Let me know. I want I want to sleeve this up real quick though, because guys, I just want to let you know, just so you know that it's not like, damn, I can't believe Johnny put this up and he's accusing Loso of being muscles. I do have evidence that that's muscles, by the way. Just so you guys know. This is why he's a sociopath, because he thinks that I'm stupid. I'm not the brightest guy. I'm not going to ever stand here and say I'm smarter than anyone here. I think, I live my life. It's how my brain it works. We all start here, right? This dude, read that. Muscles put you on with these two. Let's break down that sentence now. So let's say that this isn't muscles. That's meaning that this person, Loso, who I don't know, I've never met Muscles in real life. I've never talked with Muscles outside of the boxing gambling space, in which he would know who my interpersonal connections are. So Muscles put you on. That sounds like we're in high school and I need a new weed man, right? My weed man got locked up. And I didn't smoke weed until I was like, I think the first time I smoked weed, I was 22 anyway. So maybe we'll say I'm 22 years old, okay, for the sake of logic and validity to the story. So I'm 22, my weed man gets locked up, and then my boy Justin puts me on to his weed man. And then all of a sudden, Justin's weed man and him have a falling out, and Justin's weed man won't sell to him anymore. He only sells to me. And Justin and his brother come at me flexing, yo man, what you need to talk to so and so, or you can't get weed from him anymore because I put you on to him, and because he ain't talking to me, you shouldn't be talking to him. Those type of interpersonal relationships where you could then say that. Muscles put you on with these two is assuming, insinuating that he knows me. How does this person know the relationships I have with Paulie or Tommy? We miss Muscles. He's telling us his multiple personalities. This is a cry for help. This is getting scary. Stephen King writes scary movies about this tweet. M. Night Shyamalan writes scary movies based off of this comment. This is freaking wild to me. Ticketgate is not dead, boys. Ticketgate is still amongst us. It lives and it breathes on still. Ticketgate will not go away. Muscles put you. Is this insane to anyone else, or am I just tripping? Like, for real. Tell me, Johnny. Somebody just say, Johnny, this is insane. This isn't. This is. Just move on. The way PJ asked me to go cover the Friday night fights and we'll get out of here, all right? Because, like, it's just wow. All right. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna pull up the we're gonna do the whole parlay, boys. We're gonna do that long boy. That long joint. Well, you could care less because you're not in the Discord, mate. Elagos is salty because he's not in the Discord. We could care less. But I do like your point, Vic. I do like your point. All right, we're building the long parlay. Fair. GK, my guy. GK, see? And I know GK's going heavy on Dev, which is great. Some of the boys are going heavy on Norman, and we're still all boys. This is what it's called to have a healthy community. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna build this parlay. I already gave it to the guys on Discord. I'll just give it to you real quick. We're just gonna go at random. All right. I'm gonna go. And I got to remind everybody, I do not like using this book. I'm only using sport Aussies out there. I'm only using Sportsbook for the sake of the navigation on my live stream. The bets I'm going to put in and wager on are going to be from Bet365 based off of the draw. If you are betting in Australia boxing and you do not use Sportsbet because the draw cancels all of your tickets. Here we go. All right, boys. I think this is a 15 legger. We're gonna try to double tap from last week. All right, booyah! And don't. These are my fun long parlays. Boom. Scarborough. Gary and I were actually talking about Scarborough and Medina. Okay. Do we go, boys? Are we taking? Are we taking Dante? Or are we taking Money Pal? Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. That means a lot. Thank you. You know, you know the love I got for you guys, man. That's 100. Boys, let's build this together. All right, let's do that. Dante. All right, we'll take Dante. So maybe this will be a new feature when we're building our long parlay. I'll call this our live chats parlay, and then these are just money lines. Erdenbot's fighting Montoya. I watched TJ. I'm going to take TJ's advice on this one. Chilltown. Chilltown was on Gary's stream yesterday. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. I've been trying to talk Chilltown into starting his own shit, but he's like, nah, I ain't trying to do all that. I was like, dude, Chilltown, you could film like 10 minutes and send me it, and I'll edit and all for you, and I'll create the channel for you. Because if we had like because Chilltown will be traveling and disappearing and all, so like I don't really like bothering him. But when nobody's 100% accurate, but his takes are usually freaking spot on, especially like his takes on like Mexican fighters, Dominican fighters, Puerto Rican fighters, guys who are in like I've noticed also guys who are in their like early 30s, like mid, guys who were never world champions. He knows a lot of obscure stats off jump about fighters that I'm just sitting back like, damn, dude, he makes me feel like a novice sometimes. So he did say, all in all, he said Erdenbot. Okay, Veron. I like Veron here, by the way. No shade on Roman. Are we gonna throw these 106s and 104s on our parlay? Do we like that? Toxic. Dante, another chill town's not trying to deal with that. Yeah. Yeah. How do we feel about throwing these $6s on here, guys? Is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't know, Johnny Israel's on. I appreciate guys. I appreciate you. And even if Sam is still on the chat, him and I always go at it. But I'm not like disparaging him because we disagree. But I at least need to get my point out too. I don't want to. I don't like. I'm not going to be backed in a corner, especially if I feel like I'm not doing it with ill intent. That's another thing, guys, is that if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, and I doing it mean spirited or with like ulterior motives, that's not my style. Johnny talking about the parlay like he's ordering pizza for the homie. Should I stop? All right, since nobody's answering, we'll just come back to those $6s and $4s. I got John Furr on a separate parlay, by the way. I did a 4-leg. I guess we'll call it a universal parlay. I already talked about this a few times. I like John Furr. Look, I've heard people give Alakel, they're torn on him, but Alakal is Turkey's guy. Alakal's winning this fight. I'm probably butchering the name. Vito, shout out to Mr. Melnicki. He got him on the card. Samuel No, Nigerian fighter, undefeated. It's a showcase fight for Vito. Don't get it twisted. Abdullah, you know what? I think I'm not putting Norman or Dev on this parlay. I talked about it all week. You guys know I'm taking Norman, but I have $1.90. And if you guys are Haney, just go as heavy as you can, whatever your bankroll is, and just leave that fight by itself. You know what I mean? Bet Brian Norman and Devin by itself, because the last thing you want to do is throw it on all of your parlays. And if you lose, they all get toasted. So one of the things that we're learning on the channel is the strategy of betting, the strategy of building parlays. I've left of this. I probably have 6 tickets live. I've left this fight off of all of them, and I'm just going heavy. I'm still waiting for the odds to shift. It's Friday morning, Friday afternoon here. I thought these odds would have shifted, but they're just standstill. So the second I see Norman go the dog, I'm going heavy on Norman. But even if they stay the same come fight night, I'm going heavy on Norman, and that's going to be on its own ticket. I'm putting Benny here. All right, here. I like Mizuki Haruta. She's fun. Cordoba. The boys were talking about Shabala fight. 14. And based off of TJ's message to me, Suboy. We're at 963. Oh shit, Reese Salim is fighting. No shit. How did I not know Reese Salim was fighting? That's insane. I saw Reese Salim fight Sam Goodman live. That fight was on the undercard of Zoo versus Harrison. I was ringside of that. That was a fun fight card. Tim Zoo's fighting again in Australia next month. I'm going to that fight in Sydney. So what do you guys think? Tension is fighting. You know what? I'm gonna leave Japan alone. I might just leave. I'm gonna take Suboy off of that. Do we take Suboy off? What's up, Dante? Dante's Victim Nation. Look at that picture, mate. So this is my long parlay, boys, for the boys. So 15 legs. 100 gets us our money back plus 863. What I'm going to do is I'll print that out for everyone, and I'll post that on the socials. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, link up with me there. I'll follow you back. I'm actually easy to get a hold of on Instagram. And then obviously, if you're in the Discord, you guys know to just private message me, and I respond to everyone. So just let me know. How do you feel about it? Bro, look. I'm going to come back to that, Pedro. I need to answer PJ real quick. PJ, I see your stars missing, by the way, homie. But look, mate. I know you'll rejoin. So, but go to PJ, go to the Discord, go to my picks. And I already posted it for you. It's right there. And I'm going to get to Pedro now. How do you feel about Tim's move? Look, Tim Zoo's move, he needed to make a change, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy Tim Zoo made a change, right? Is it the right move in my opinion? I don't think so. I thought maybe a guy like Abel Sanchez, a guy like Robert Garcia. I'm a firm believer of working and strengthening your strengths. Obviously, we have to work on our holes, and we have to plug the holes in our game, right? No holes in our socks. At this stage of his career, what I would have thought he would have done was take what he's good at and just get better at those things. So I was thinking like, front foot fighter, in the pocket, wants to slug it out. Dude, go to, Virgil's camp, go to Robert Garcia. And maybe that's why he didn't, because Virgil's there. Who knows? Go to Abel Sanchez. But he obviously went the other route. He went with a guy like Diaz, Cuban, legendary coach who's, the things that he needs to work on, his feet, his footwork. But I think, what is he, 31 now, 32? Like I would have done it the other way. I would have, because I mean he's not that far off. He became a world champion with that style. He was a world champion, dude. Talk about a fall off, mate. That's why I cheer for him. What happened? Tim Zoo was selling the T-shirts with the hit list. Speaking of T-shirts, Youngstown, City of Champions. This is my boy's T-shirt. There's a Youngstown clothing company in Youngstown, Ohio. Shout out for the swag. He sends me these. Dope. I know you will, PJ. You know I got your back, brother. I know you will. Do you like T Cent? I do like Erdenbach. So to finish the point about Zoo, his style, he became a world champion with that style. So it's kind of like, in my opinion, I'm like, you need a change, you need to make adjustments. Just make the style better. I strongly dislike how we all want people to fight each other. I know. I don't. I don't write fighters off, and I agree. It's a very valid point. It's a very valid point. But look, true boxing fans don't do it. It sucks though when you see this sort of leadership from the top down though. When you have like big boxing heads with big social media followings, who cater to the casual, who create videos just for virality, bashing fighters, calling them bums, calling them never that good, saying that they're washed. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. I got a lot of work to do behind the scenes. I'm gonna be cutting up. So the live stream I did with Paulie and Tommy, Paulie and Tommy gave some really interesting takes on the Riyadh fight card. So I'm gonna save you guys time. I'm gonna do more time for me, and I'm gonna chop each breakdown that Tommy and Paulie did. It'll be like, and I'll release those in single videos. I'll be like Paulie's take on Haney, Paulie's take on Benavidez, that sort of thing. So it's gonna take me, probably an hour to do that sort of stuff. He went to Abel's camp, wasn't filled. Well, I mean, what did Marvin Hagler though say about silk sheets? Hagler purposefully did his fight camps in like the snow in winter Massachusetts, screaming war. Tim Zoo, he's a Sydney boy. He's down in South Florida. Look, I'm an old head. Call me old fashioned. But I feel like Zoo needed, if I was Zoo, I would have gone up to um, a mountain in California type of energy, a mountain up in Colorado. I think he needs to, Russia. But I'm an old head. Aussie pugilist, let me know, man. Let's link up. Let's link up at the fights, man. I'll be with my boy Big Luke. You know who's on that card? Ahmad Rita. Look, I will stand on any hill and admit when I was wrong. Boy, did I have Ahmad Rita wrong. Rita coming off an impressive win against Bruno, and Bruno shout out to Ben. What's Ben's last name? Ben was a Brit pro who turned pro. He's a Brit who came to the Sydney, and he coaches Bruno. But I took Bruno in that fight, and Ahmad Rita is the goods, mate. He's on that card. So yeah, hit me up. Let me know. It's a couple weeks, guys. I appreciate everybody. Whether we agree, we disagree, our come together moment is boxing. Thank you.